Take two.
Got me stuck there for a second.
Had one job, dude. I'm so sorry.
One job. Get the chord right, Ryan. Get it together, man. One job is about every job, except for this. I can handle this. I got this right here.
Yeah, your two buttons to push.
Yeah, but anyways, Ryan, the excluded middle, coming at you from the bunker. Let's go.
First episode after our year, dude.
This one is?
Yeah, so we haven't sat at this table in almost 2 weeks, bro. It's been 2 weeks, actually.
It's been 2 weeks, man.
Right before I went to Encounter, and then I didn't upload that till a few days after. But
it's good to be back, Ryan. It's good to be back.
Miss you, buddy.
And it's good to be rolling on one. It's good to be rolling on one because we was holding on two for a while.
Yeah.
We're holding on two for two, I guess, from what you're saying.
It's been a little wild, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Man, and funny story, because I was going to tell you this before, but I was like, man, this should wait before we get on the mics and tell you the story. So, okay, on the way over here, I needed some chaw, my chew tobacco,
Yeah.
Give me that Longhorn Wintergreen,
Yeah.
like a jacuzzi. Ding. Yeah. So, anyways, I pull up to we got the smoke shop. If y'all familiar with it, over there on Fourth and Plum, right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call it, but the smoke stop, whatever. And so I was thinking about just going in and grabbing it, but there's only like a few cars in the drive-through. So I was like, well, I'll just go through the drive-through real quick because my knee's bummed out, so I didn't really want to get out and walk anyways.
Yeah.
So I pull up behind this white car, and it's just because it got basically this thing, the road kind of around the building, the drive-through does, so you really can't see where the window is. So right there at that corner, there's a white car there, and then I'm right behind this white car. And man, I am sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. And I'm like, what are these people doing, man? I was like, man, I'm just going to go in. So I was going to go, well, I'll just go over to BJ's, which is like a half block away or something. So I was like, well, I'll just shoot over to BJ's. So I pull around that corner, pull around the white car. And dude, there is like nobody in front of this white car. And there's probably enough room for at least 3 cars before you hit the drive-thru. And this lady's just sitting there in her car and not moving. So I pull around, and then I go around the Rent Center area, come around the corner. I park my truck in their parking lot. I get out, and dude, I run up to the window, and this lady's looking out the window that works there. She's like, what is that lady doing? And I was like, I don't know. Can I just grab a tub of chew real quick? And then I'll go knock on her window. And so she gave me my tub real quick. And then, so then I go over to this, and then it happens to be this old lady sitting there. Dude, I thought she might have been dead, man.
Oh no.
I swear. Like she's an older lady, and somebody's grandma sitting there, man. And so I was like, oh my goodness, man. I didn't know what I was coming up to, at that point, everything starts kind of processing through your head, kind of, what am I going to do in the scenario and all this. So I walk up to the window and I tap on it, and no movement, no nothing. Lady does not look like she's breathing or anything. I mean, she's an older lady just sitting there, just up against her like this, man. And so I'm all like, at that point, I'm getting ready to touch her. But then I was like, so I hit then at that point, I got right up because her head was kind of on that window there. And I just hit the window. I was like, knock, knock. And I was like, hey, excuse me, ma'am, are you okay? You know what I mean? And then she just kind of, she wakes up. She straight fell asleep. Dude, waiting the line at like 5:15 in the evening, afternoon, whatever, and in the prevening,
Yeah.
And so she just she looks up, sees how far she's back, and then she kind of chuckles, and then I'm like, yeah, it's like, yeah, you might want to pull up, Yeah. Then I asked her, I was like, are you okay? Everything all right with you? Medically, everything's fine. You okay? And she'll go, yeah, I'm just so tired. I mean,
that's hilarious.
Last call for a cigarette. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She might
not even
deprived
be there for a cigarette.
You know what I mean?
A lot of people roll through there just because you can get sodas out of that window.
I don't know, man. She looked like a classic old lady smoker, dog.
Could have been. I'm just saying. I know a couple people that go there because they can get lottery tickets through the drive-through and sodas.
Yeah.
They don't even smoke cigarettes. But
maybe give her the benefit of the doubt. Not a smoker. Just getting some Lottos and a Sprite.
So let me tell you,
Diet Coke, in fact.
back when I smoked Marlboro Reds and I was driving truck, I would take cat naps and I would use a cigarette to wake me up. It was before they had fire safety cigarettes. And so I'd light the cigarette and I'd park it between my fingers and it would burn for about 15 minutes and it'd burn my fingers and wake me up.
No way.
Not even joking, dude. An old truck driver told me that was the trick he used. And he used it so often, he would use it at railroad crossings, like the train would be going or whatever. And, so he would light the cigarette, he would put it like halfway and he would doze off while the train was cruising.
So what? So check this. That's crazy. So what happens in the scenario that you fall asleep and and your fingers open up and the cigarette drops? That's probably how a lot of people died, man. And your vehicle catches fire and then you blow up.
So yeah, you have to weigh that
I didn't
option.
think that through.
But you think about so only one time did and the cigarette didn't drop out, but like somehow I manipulated it out a ways so it didn't burn my fingers. Like the filter was here instead of the
so
white
it just
part.
burnt all the way
so it
down.
burnt all the way to nothing, and I woke up like 40 minutes later. I was in line, and I woke up. And there was no trucks there. It was on a weird day, and they had the gate closed, so I had to walk. And I hate walking like 2 miles up to this guard shack. And the guys were like, "Hey, we weren't going to leave, but we figured since you didn't wake up that you needed the sleep. So yeah, just." The gate's not locked. Just push it open and pull up here,
Oh, that was nice of them, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Some places would have just been like, that guy's here till Monday.
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, I would have just unhooked my trailer and came home probably. But
yeah,
it was like 4 hours away from home. But
that's why we at where I work, we don't allow trucks to park in overnight.
Yeah, it would be
we
full.
make them get out of the yard. Well, that's just for the simple fact, like if they're sitting there overnight because we locked the gate up and an emergency happened, they would just bust through the gate.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way we kind of take it. So we just make sure the yard's empty, no vehicles are in it.
They can go right up the road and camp out anyways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
On Fridays, they can go to the Red Shed and watch the music and eat beer. So
I know a lot of them like to stop at the old Loves.
That's
the
the
Loves,
go-to.
man.
So early on in trucking, Loves was not like it is. I mean, and you look now, it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah. That's the spot, man.
And they're the cleanest, cheapest showers, cheapest fuel, cheapest food.
Yeah, plus
bonus points.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I was about to say too. Because I asked some drivers, I was like, I know the Loves are nice, but why does everyone go to those Love stops? And a lot of it is those bonus points because if they spend their fuel there and all that, they'll get free showers basically.
Well, so yeah, if you pump 70 gallons, you get a free shower. Showers are $12.
Yeah.
So you get a free shower. You always get free sodas, and then you also build points. So like when I was trucking, I would pump fuel at the end of the day, get my free shower, and I'd have enough points from pumping fuel to get a hot dog. And that's what I lived on, dude. Because I was cheapskate. Yeah. I ate so many hot dogs and so many crackers, dude, because I always had Ritz crackers. And at the end of the day, I would have it. Sometimes I get taquitos, right?
Yeah.
You get 2 for $1 or whatever.
Yeah. And I see the driver's receipts sometimes. I look at them, because they turn in the receipts, to get
'cause
reimbursed.
You guys have your own truck
right?
drivers, yeah,
dude, the worst diets ever.
Yeah.
I'm like
It
these
is.
guys live off quick shop burritos. You know what I mean? Mountain Dews.
Yeah. If you're lucky,
I mean,
depending
it's
on how
like-
you drive, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, you'll stop and eat at a cafe. But most of the time, it would be 2 a.m. before I shut down. There ain't nothing open.
Yeah, dude. Last time this driver, he come up to the office, dude. He those gallon bags of cookies, or not? Oh, not excuse me, just gallon Ziploc bag, right? Okay, he had a gallon Ziploc bag, dude. This thing was over. It was like stuffed. It's expanded out as far as this dang bag can go, and it's just full of chocolate chip, like those little chocolate chip nasty cookies you buy at the Dillon's or whatever the grocery store. Dude, just packed full of those things. And I was like, dang. I was like, you like cookies? And he's like, oh man, I live off these things. He's like, I'll have this. He's like, I eat one of these things on every trip out and back.
I'm sure.
And dude, I'm talking, Brian, that was the most cookies. I couldn't even imagine consuming that many cookies in like a day period.
Really,
dude.
you can think of this principle for so many things. The worst part, depending on what you're hauling, so you just end up waiting a lot.
Yeah.
So you're either waiting to load or unload, whatever it looks like. So then this boredom thing kicks in.
Yeah, that man's sitting there eating
The
cookies.
first
in
thing
his
you want to
boredom.
do is snack.
Yeah, you got to fight that urge, man.
So I honestly, personally, I just kept very little food in my semi.
Yeah.
Because even if I would leave on Sunday and I'd have all that crap ate by Monday afternoon. So I'd just be hungry
dude.
anyways.
Yeah.
I got 6,000 calories on
It's
Monday
like-
and 500 on Tuesday.
Dude, and that guy with all those cookies, I mean, he had to have been, I mean, I don't know how old he was, but 67, 68. I'm like, dude, how are you still alive, man? Like,
Right.
like if I ate that many, like, oh, I'd have a heart attack, man.
Yeah, highly processed cookies too.
Like, oh yeah, like they're not grandma's or mama's cookies, man. They're
But it's weird. I mean, you think about
Mama
he
Dill's
has-
cookies is what they was.
Probably even the cheap ones. Not even
yeah, the
Chips
cheap
Ahoy.
ones, Mama Aldi's.
He's
I don't even
old
know if
enough-
that's a
he's
such
old
thing.
enough to know healthy from unhealthy, and take let's just say this average guy, old enough to know, and probably honestly, when in his youth he probably ate better, because he was raised a different type
Yeah,
of way.
True.
I think we're kind of the tail end of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. My
I don't know,
kids.
my boys eat pretty good too, man. Well,
I'm
my
just
wife,
saying,
man, she keeps
right,
it pretty, man.
But I'm saying the hand-me-down part of that, the majority.
yeah,
of
I
most
see what
people.
you're saying. Yeah.
So, like, I mean, for me and Trisha, we eat out often because it's just me and her.
True. I see what you're saying because, like, when I can think back to when I was little, and like just think about how many times like we'd go to McDonald's. It would be
Ever.
like a once a week type deal.
If that,
If
probably.
that, yeah, if that.
And when he went,
Like my dad.
like,
If I'm at
you're
home, my
getting
dad's
you're getting one
yeah.
cheeseburger. You ain't getting no happy
For real.
meal.
Or my dad'd be like, what do we got to eat tonight? And dad, if mom's gone and dad's there, well, we're having some hominy and spam.
Right?
You know what I mean?
That actually
Like,
sounds all right.
no way, man.
I like.
Yeah.
I love hominy, dude.
Oh,
And I
man.
don't mind spam.
Yeah.
Um,
But that would be, something like that. And then I think, and you think back right now, like, that's like, going out to eat's like an everyday thing anymore, man.
is-
For
yeah.
most, anyways.
It is, really is. And a lot of it has to come with this the time involved in stuff. So I think about all the time. I mean, I just don't know. My mom was a stay-at-home mom growing up, so
Yeah.
I mean, she just did her job was to take care of the house. So we always had home cooked meals. Now there were a lot of times during the summer, like she would take us out for lunch and stuff. Like we would go eat somewhere and go to the pool or whatever, or wherever she could drop us off for crafts time or something stupid. We were always doing stuff, but we hardly ever went out. Then when my parents got divorced, it was just me and dad. We went out every meal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even when we went to the farm, he brought home something every night. Usually Boston Market, which was probably
Oh, man, I miss Boston
I know,
Market.
dude. I
That
love
place
that
was
place.
fire.
I would never go
Yeah,
there
I
on
do
my
like
own.
Boston Market.
But dad would be
Have
like,
that.
"I'm going to Boston Market. You want anything?" I was like, "Yes, pot roast, please."
Yeah.
Times 2.
Is that place still exist?
I don't even know. It doesn't exist in Hutchinson.
No, I hadn't existed here in a long time. I totally forgot about that place, man. It was like home cooked meal, but quick.
It was legit. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was highly processed. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Really quick home cooked meal.
yeah. Dad always got rotisserie chickens.
Yeah.
And he liked that because he could eat it 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Me, like he would get me 2 pot roasts, and there again, I'd eat them both that night.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, it definitely ain't no Carriage Crossing, but I would say, it's probably like the McDonald's of the Carriage Crossings.
Oh yeah, kind of low key, yeah. But it was
dig
decent.
it.
It was way better than fast food for sure.
Yeah.
But even knowing these things, like me, I read constantly, and it's like I was strolling through. My old neighbor sent me some videos that I could actually watch that weren't on TikTok, and so I'm on YouTube watching these reels, and then all of a sudden this one pops up about how this is in all processed foods. And then you go to the NIH or National Institute of Health, and all those properties are known to cause cancer.
Yeah, man.
Like high number percentages, right?
Poisoning.
Okay, so then you go over to FDA, and there's like approved.
Approved, yeah. Give them more.
And I get government agencies don't like coalesce together and work well together. I understand that, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, so the National Institute of Health says this. Which is the same people that said take a freaking COVID shot too, but at the same time, and then the FDA says this, so it's like in small amounts. Well, you think of like Teflon pans,
Yeah,
right?
you kind of contradicting yourselves, right?
It just seems weird. Like it's but there's so much
Could
to
cause
that.
cancer. Could cause cancer. Can we go ahead and put this in food?
We're gonna go ahead and put it in food, yeah.
Do it.
So
Let's see if
Trish,
this works out.
listen, Trisha had
Small quantities,
have-
but you eat it every day. So
when she went to Cali, they gave her a lot of pictures and stuff, and so her aunt found some more stuff, and part of that was like this little birth card for when her mom Bonnie was born, and it gives the recipe to make formula. Now, keep in mind, I guess it would probably been the late mid or 60s or something, 50s or 60s. So it was carnation or the pet milk, PET milk, which is just powdered milk with this something Malatrex, whatever, or and basically that was like a non-sugar sweetener, I think is what it was. Or you could put 2 like whatever amounts of dark Caro syrup, which is high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
And your baby, and you're just gonna pipe that right to your baby, instead of breastfeeding.
Yeah, isn't that wild? So yeah. So why do you think they like what? This is what gets me. You know what I mean? It's like why do they allow such things? Into our country. I guess we're a capitalist type market.
Worst. Well, we're the worst of them.
But it's almost like they're really deceiving about it. You know what I mean? And you think
it's really it comes down to the dollar.
Well, yeah, but then technically we have our tax money pays for I would assume the FDA to come in and regulate that. So then
our tax dollars do not compare to lobbyist dollars.
Right, but then as a people, we put our confidence in the FDA to regulate what they say we can eat, and then we should be able to have trust into that regulation that is working and that they're not poisoning us.
What you're saying is you trust the government?
Well, no, but we should. But I'm saying you shouldn't. I don't know if trust, but I think we should have some type of confidence in our systems that we put in place as a people with our tax-paying dollars, FDA prime example, that you are going to have our best interest in mind when it comes to what we are consuming,
right?
And you're going to keep those poisons out of it.
There again, it goes to the dollar.
But it doesn't. But that's what I'm saying. So over time, I think at the very beginning, like we go back to those older generations with that guy with that big ass bag of cookies,
right?
Or we're going to Boston Market every night. We're getting the processed foods, and that took off. All those individuals probably had that confidence in the establishments that were supposed to regulate that and trusted that and didn't question it because they're they're not going to feed us that stuff because So then as time goes on and truth begins to be revealed and people begin to research and especially with social media and everything's, you get to hear a lot.
Yeah. So
then all of a sudden we're like, whoa, wait a minute, you got over on us.
Yeah.
So when do you draw the line there as a people and be like, well, let's just do away with the FDA or we need to do something there? Like what,
Yeah, that ain't going to happen.
I know, but that's what's crazy to me. But so why is that? Just dollar? Or do you think there's bigger things at play there?
Bigger dollars at play than our tax money. Our tax money is peanuts compared.
And that's all it comes down to is that dollar. You think?
Well, I mean,
I guess
I don't think it's any secret. We don't have to jump down a rabbit hole to talk about.
Yeah,
there's like 3 large corporations that basically own the world.
Yeah,
and you hear about it. One's BlackRock, and I can't remember
Vanguard
and BlackRock, and like and then you look at things, and it's like if you really want to trace back certain things, it all points to those places, right? And their money's in the trillions.
True.
Our tax dollars are not in trillions. They're in the billions that we pay in. For personal.
Yeah.
Take out businesses and all that crap.
Right. I'm with you.
So the whole thing, though, really, it comes down to I think as we like to think, and I say society, world as a whole, human population. The majority of people like to think that evil doesn't exist. So you have to think that this evil started.
That's what I'm thinking. It's not necessarily about the dollar. I think there's bigger things.
Well, there is, maybe. But what motivates it for these places is money, and money is the root of all evil, right? That's what the book says.
True. Yeah.
Okay, so we have this going on. So, and then also I think people get caught up in the idea of the evil is immediate. Satan's take all the time in the world.
I always say time is on the enemy's side, man.
Well, it is.
Because he can just
the more time he has, the more he has to
and just
screw us
slowly change things, man. Slowly implement little changes.
It makes me wonder if he knows the day and time. The book says we don't know the day and time. It makes me wonder if he knows, because you think in Job where it says God and Lucifer having a conversation. He says, "Hey, what have you been up to?" "Well, I've just been bored roaming the earth to and fro." I mean, it doesn't say bored, but it kind of gives this idea of like, but then you go to the
no one knows the day and time, though, not even Jesus himself.
That is not what it says.
We'd have to.
So it does say, it says only the Father knows. I get that.
Not even the Son, but it says not even the Son. I thought that it does.
I'd have to look, but I think it does
Where's
say.
your laptop, man?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But so when
We'll have to look that up real
in that
quick.
same piece of scripture, I think it's when the disciples and Jesus and they're asking, because everybody assumes, like John the Baptist, when he's getting ready to be beheaded, he sends his disciples to ask, "Are you really who you say you are?" Because their idea of this thing that was supposed to happen, they thought would all happen in their lifetime.
Oh,
And
yeah,
now here
they
we
did.
are 2,000 years later, of course.
True story.
Then you think about the 5,000, 6,000 years before Christ even came. So I think we're in for the long haul here.
Here it is. Here it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jump in on this verse here.
Read it.
Okay. Sorry, man. My phone's lagging down here. I don't got a very good reception. All right, here goes. Matthew 24:36, which states, "But concerning that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father only."
Right.
So, if we're taking that in context,
Right.
then Satan would not know.
I'm just saying, yeah. So at the same time, I mean, like I said, it makes me wonder if he does, right?
He may think he does. Of course, he's probably watching the signs just as I don't know.
I think he probably,
He would know scripture really well for sure.
well, so we'll talk about that a little bit too.
Yeah.
But anyways, it really comes down to this, I don't know what the word would be, a slow burn. You know what I mean? So these things that are really affecting us today, the majority of these things actually happened in the 1900s.
Yeah.
The evolution of things and all these other things. And I mean, you think of DuPont and Bayer and Pfizer. And I mean, it's not the most ridiculous thing. The same people that poisoned America with opiates also sell Suboxone.
Ain't that something?
And it's even harder to get off Suboxone than it is off opiates.
Yeah.
So
It's like they just replaced it with something else.
100%. And you know what they give
Yes,
people?
we still got to get paid.
Now they're starting to off-label administer Suboxone for pain management and mental fucking health,
Gee.
which is why the other day, like we were going to talk about mental health and that, and it's such. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole right now.
Trip. So yeah, that's wild to me.
So, but then you go.
I didn't know that about Suboxone. Like they were the same people that provided that.
Yeah, basic. I mean, the same basic company. Well, you think there's not a whole. There's a lot of little drug companies, but there's like
only
the big
like
three.
again, there's only those
There's the big three.
right, that have their
Yeah, and if
tentacles
you-
into everything and just like whoa.
Yeah, so you have like Abbott,
Yeah.
Pfizer, and something. Trisha, what's the other one?
Abbott, Pfizer. She's zoned you out, dog.
I know.
Abbott, Pfizer. What's the other pharmaceutical company?
They just got sued big.
We got to get better. I'll bring them my little computer so they can.
Well, that's not even what we were going to talk about these
I
things,
know,
and here
but
we are
still.
down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we are, man. I like going.
But
there,
really, it
though.
doesn't matter.
I mean, I'm learning right now because I didn't know Suboxone and what was it? Fentanyl? No.
No, just opiates.
Opiates. Yeah, excuse me.
so
Opiates. Yeah.
Basically, the same people the same drug companies that flooded America with OxyContin of
Yeah.
different varieties develop Suboxone
So they're
or
probably
use it, promote Suboxone.
So do you? Well, I don't think they thought this, but do you think they were like, "Hey, we'll help you with this. Since we created this issue, we got a solution that helped people get off the opiate pandemic."
Knew before any of that
that's
even
what I'm
happened.
saying. Yeah, yeah.
They had to know. They're like, all right, so we're going to create this drug and we're going to label it as something that's good, even though it's bad. Here we go to the book. We're going to call it good, evil, and evil good, right?
Yeah.
And I have to stick with this. Like, everything that you need to heal your body, God gives you.
Yeah.
Right? I 100% agree with that. Now it takes time and effort to find it, and time and effort to use it, and time and effort to do all these things.
But then again, it goes back to what I had originally stated just earlier. It's like during that time, people had trust or and confidence in these powers that be that we put in place to help us.
Who's
and
going
then
to go
come
to their
find
doctor
out.
and question?
Yeah, exactly.
So
but
your back hurts. Let me give you 10 milligrams of oxy, and in 3 months you're like, oh, my back hurts. Let me up your dose.
Yeah,
Let's
they're like,
titrate you
it
up.
feels so good. I feel better. And then they keep on giving you more, and they're just having trust in the
maximum-
system, man. And they're having confidence in the system at that time. Well, then here we are. Then we start finding out, well, they didn't have our best interests. They had their own best interests in heart.
They found
and they went against the people, man, and they continue to do so.
They found so many doctors overprescribing oxys to people
Yeah.
I mean, there were people that were coming out, they were taking up to 30 milligram pills a day.
How many people do you think they killed?
I mean, I don't even want
Yeah.
tens of thousands.
Dude, crazy number, I bet.
And then how do you even come up with a number? So keep it, let's say just the United States. And so they have all these people. Now, what happened is they get cut off, right? Yeah. So, okay, so now your pain management doctor either quits or leaves or sends you to your regular doctor. So they're going to wean you off. A lot of those people then go to the street for drugs.
Yeah.
And that's where they fucking die.
Yeah.
Freaking die. Sorry, I get really worked up.
Yeah. This. Yeah. And then, no, I get it too. Cause I mean, it's terrible. And what again, this just stems from,
but they're not held responsible.
Exactly. They're not held responsible.
The people that are in charge of these companies should have a trial and they should go to prison. Instead, what they are is they're fined.
Yeah. They're fined
millions of dollars.
That's pocket change, man.
Well, and a lot of it's paid by insurance and
right. It's probably not even affecting them none. Yeah, dude.
They didn't even lose their damn job.
Yeah, it's wild to me, man. It's just like, but
it's the nature of the beast.
It's not like, hey, we're sorry about this. In fact, it's like, I don't even know that we're really sorry we got caught, but here you go.
I don't think they're sorry.
Action suit, it's all right.
Think about
we have so much money, and that's what it was like. Well, hit them where it hurts their money, but I'm like, they have so much money. I don't think it's really going to hurt them that much.
And they already got the next thing ready.
Yeah, they're ready to roll. They got the Suboxone now. Hey, we got your best interest in heart.
This is
We're going to take care of you now.
The government,
what I mean?
The government funded so many of those prescriptions, private insurance plus the government, like people on Medicaid. Now the government more than anybody is funding the Suboxone. So, and I'm not trying. I would much rather my tax money go to help somebody than to hurt them. Yeah. But
it's just wild, though.
Like I said, that now we're to Suboxone, and now they're going to off-label prescribe it for pain for people that never were on opiates ever, and then give it to people for mental health. Yeah. And which I guess it made sense for the guys that were strung on meth because a lot of their meth was laced with fentanyl.
Yeah.
But they were prescribing Suboxone to help curb
I'm not real familiar with Suboxone, but I just know it.
I learned a lot about it over the last year.
Yeah, I bet you did. Doesn't Suboxone basically just kind of eliminate the urge to get high?
Well, it does. It does a little bit.
Or do you get a placebo effect?
Well, it's not placebo. It's affecting your opiate receptors with a synthetic opioid, basically.
Okay.
And then it has a tiny bit of something in it that kind of dulls out the opioid receptors. So this is another thing that's bad. Is like if you're on Suboxone and you tried to use a street drug like heroin or something, it would take more to get you high, I guess.
Oh, so then you're more prone to OD.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because it doesn't save you from overdosing, it doesn't have naloxone in it. It's something else. So yeah, it's a wild thing. I mean, I was a total anti-harm reduction guy until like handfuls of people a year in Reno County were dying from overdoses.
Yeah, it's wild.
And I just believe so strongly in preservation of life, whatever it takes. Like, there's no way to minister to somebody once their heart stops beating.
Yeah, dude, I read a book like back when I was a freshman in high school years ago, talking about like harm reduction. He didn't call it harm reduction at that point because that book would have been wrote. Who knows when that book was wrote? And I can't even remember the name of it, but it talked about a lot of these plans that you're seeing right now. He even talked about, he didn't call them methadone clinics. You know what I mean? Because methadone wasn't around. He basically at that point just said there would be places at corners, in the future. He said there would be places, corner stops where you could actually go there and get a little fix of heroin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, as time goes on, he was pretty much on the right track, except we just implemented with other drugs.
Depending on, I would have to do some research and see when it was wrote, and all those things.
It was probably wrote, I bet it was wrote in the 70s, I bet.
Yeah. So that would have been like right at the start of other countries in that regard are way ahead of the United States, harm reduction wise. So like overseas in the early 80s, that's when they started, especially like, I want to say like Denmark, Amsterdam, that area. There's another one. Poland was one, I think. They just decriminalized all drugs, right? And instead of fighting the war on drugs and spending gazillions of dollars doing that, and instead of putting people in jail, now if you have large amounts, like you're going to
right.
You're not going to state,
limits.
You're going to federal.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay, so then they started having clean places for people to use. Now, they didn't see like a decline in usage at first, but they did see a decline in death. So then over that time, now they start flooding those places with tons of like, it's propaganda. Don't get me wrong. It is
Yeah.
of, you could be healthy or you can do this and we want to help you. And in some places, the churches got highly involved. Now that's something when harm reduction first hit Hutchinson that I noticed was a lot of churches were not on board. And really, it wasn't that necessarily that the church would or would not be on board. It's the people in the pews that gave the most money were not on board. They were like 80 years old and had no idea.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't sold on it. I was totally against it. But so, anyways, let's.
Yeah, I read that book way back in the day, man. And I always liked his thinking on it. I wish I could remember the name of that, but ever since I read that book, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah,
So I've always kind of I've had a better understanding of it, I suppose, just from reading that
if
book.
it's someone from the 70s that experienced a lot of those things, not that he used necessarily, but it was around that culture.
Oh yeah,
I can only imagine what his thought process was. Like, I mean, you think like I come
he
from
basically
Hutchinson,
called,
Kansas, and you go to the extreme of like you think of San Francisco or Philadelphia, Kensington Street, or these really, really slimy drug spots. And so this, like with fentanyl, it's like the first time someone said they use fentanyl, I was like, oh, they put it in your dope. And they're like, no, I buy fentanyl. And I was like, what?
Isn't that crazy?
That's why I said, I thought that was only in San Francisco or like big cities. And they're like, no, it's hitting. And then all of a sudden you start reading fentanyl over fentanyl.
And, during that book and he said that's how it would start. Obviously, I mean, I guess you could kind of just make that connection there. He was like, it'll start in your bigger cities, and then pretty soon it'll slowly maneuver and make its way through all cities.
So not that I condone this, and I obviously over time things.
Narcotics in America, maybe it was called. I don't know. So I'm just shooting from the hip, man.
Yeah, I'll be on my phone up all night looking for it now.
Yeah.
Be reading 9 books next week.
Yeah, it was like 60s, 70s, something like that. Probably 70s.
It probably was. I mean, it makes sense, and it would be close. Like by the time if you read it when you were in school, you're talking early 90s.
Yeah, it'd been early 90s. Early 90s. I'd have read that. Probably 93-ish, 94. Yeah.
When meth was getting real bad.
Yeah, meth was just coming. Like it was the Red Foss. It was like the Red Foss days, man. I remember that, and like the peanut butter.
Right.
I don't know how much detail you want to go into that, but
there was just a lot of meth.
Yeah, there was, man. It wasn't. Yeah, nothing like it was today. It was.
Kansas
different.
was the meth. Kansas was considered, and I think this was partly the government just talking crap, but Kansas was the methamphetamine capital of the United States, if not North America, for amount being produced.
I can believe that.
And wait, it was crazy. I'm glad we moved past that to fentanyl. It's wild. Well, people be making that stuff. It's easy to make. It's weird.
Wild too, isn't it?
The best thing is just to not do any of it.
Yeah, for real.
Of course, I go to the book too there, and it says, be of a sober mind and a sober spirit. And I think about like anything that I put in my body: nicotine, coffee, caffeine, any of it, alcohol. I've never done really fentanyl, so I have no idea what that would do. Methamphetamine, the list goes on. Done tons of stuff, and I can look back and think, and like there was times where I felt really good and connected to things, but I just highly doubt they were the things that I needed to be connected to.
Right.
So, and I used to, spend a lot of time in my early 20s entertaining this idea of this spiritual walks and different things. More from an American Indian perspective, right? We're kind of experimenting with some stuff.
Psychedelics you're getting into here.
Yeah. But my little brother at the time was totally wrapped up in the necromancy.
Oh, man.
So he ended up at the house I lived at, and he would stay up for hours and hours and hours locked in the room, burning all these weird candles, doing all these chants and stuff. And my roommate, man, it didn't bother me. I was just like, whatever, dude. Like, and at the time, it's because I kind of didn't believe in it. You know?
Whatever floats your boat.
And so I come home one day, and there's like all this white powder around all the whole house.
Oh yeah,
all around his room and this stuff.
Calling him in.
Well, no, that's what I thought first, and so I'm like, dude, what's all this? And I don't know. He's like, it's flour. And I was like, okay. And I was like, why? And he's like, I didn't do that. Nate did. And I was like, what? So I go downstairs like, Nate, what's that for? He's like, well, someone's got to fight against this stuff. And I was like, what do you mean?
Putting up barriers.
That's what it was. Like he read about it. So you put flour around for 2 reasons. Like one, you can see what comes in your house because they have to walk through it, right?
Oh, no kidding.
And then secondary, there's something about that white powder that I have no, and like I said, I didn't go down that rabbit hole very much. Mine was more like to try to be in tune with like a higher spirit, just basically Gnosticism, really. I wasn't trying to seek evil spirits to do evil to people. I just really wanted to feel better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how we end up in these messes. I mean, I guess I do. It's because we're humans and we're idiots. But it's just like I go through these phases. Like I'll read my Bible tons and tons and tons, and like my mental health's good.
Then you get
do
drift
all
out
these
of
things, and then it's like anything. Even when I was on mental health meds, I feel better, so I'm just gonna quit taking them cold turkey.
Yeah,
I do
the
so it's
same.
like things are going good. First thing to go is usually scripture, and then the next thing is I start praying less. And then I can see and it's always hindsight, the beautiful of looking in the mirror type thing, and it's like, how do we even get? It's this complacency of comfort from being propagandized, just like my dad, born in 48, 49, something like 48 or 49, and he just trusts the government wholeheartedly.
That's what I mean. Because back then they had that full confidence, trust.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just
it's weird.
Even like so when Putin was starting to be a dick, and I called Dad and I said, "Does this make you nervous? I'm just curious, And he's like, "Why?" I was like, "Well, you lived through the Cold War," and he's like, "You want me to start off?" So
it doesn't matter, Ryan. Go ahead.
It's
Do your thing, man.
Kind of weird. We're not wearing the same thing we were wearing earlier. But so this video we tried to upload, and YouTube gave us a warning and removed our video for some parts that did not meet community guidelines. So I would just like to say that we were talking about some sensitive topics. We have our opinions. Everyone has their own opinion. So I don't know. I guess we got out of line according to those, and we got warned. So we're going to have to remove it and implement it with this. So we love you, though. So there's about 8 minutes of podcasts that are missing, and instead you get this explanation. And if you know us well enough, feel free to reach out, and we'll talk about the community guidelines. But as always, like, comment, subscribe. That helps us. Our little 95 subscribers. It doesn't matter if you're a big dog or a little dog in this world. They're going to get you.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't say kind of exactly what they want you to say, and that's all right. We're here to get a message across that really has very little to do with the community guidelines violation we got. But our warning drops off January 5th. So anyways, we love you guys. Back to the original podcast. Hopefully you can keep up, and we will try not to make this happen again.
Yeah, one love. Shalom.
Nation state, and so now we should pray for Israel the same as we would pray for Spain then.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We want it to become a godly country,
Yep.
which is going to be very difficult in the Middle East because people still kill people over religious disputes, even in their own families, right?
For sure.
It's like reach over across the table and gut them, or kick them out. It's hardcore. And I think that we lost some of that, in the church and in the American church specifically, but it just rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Stand up for Israel. I think they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
They're making excuses, and they use the fact that,
Well, I think there's wrong on both.
I'm not disputing that.
Yeah. I would say,
that.
and I like that. Because, well, yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
But I'm just saying, so here we are. Basically, it's like, okay, so you bombed us with 100 bombs. Now we're going to send 300 and annihilate you. We're going to kill your men, women, and children. We're going to blow up your universe. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And eventually, some of those things might happen here. Maybe not in the next. I don't think it's going to. I think some crazy shit's going to pop off in November.
Yeah.
I really do. But it happened 4 Novembers ago, 4 before that.
Yeah.
It's a powder keg waiting to explode. Because of propaganda, individualism, lack of community, lack of family, lack of fathers. I mean, the list goes on, Keeler. It goes on and on and on.
But dude, I always revert back to my, as far as I'm praying, I always revert back to my 316 prayer every day, man. My 316, that's, you know what I mean? That is a prayer that is spoken, and not every time, but I guess every time it's mentioned in there that we have an awakening, you know what I mean? Of Christ, come together,
and in the weirdest spots, you see those
begin to see the truth. begin to see the revival, or if you want to use the word revival, I don't know what word you want to use there.
Good awakening and revival.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's all come together, and that's what I think we should be praying for. And it comes down like you can even get to that down to our presidential debates. You know what I mean? Like, what's president? Well, I don't put my faith and trust in any of that, man, because I've seen what happens when we put our faith and trust in any type of government officiating. Like, boom, pretty soon we're going to have an FDA that think they're in our best interest. But then again, now they're feeding us poison and they're not even doing nothing about it.
Exactly.
It's like, and then you're going to continue to increase, money from us. You're going to continue to take, and you give very little back to us. And then to say that we have in that is very minute. It doesn't matter who we pick in that office, man. It's I don't see it helping the little guy.
Few that go in with good intentions leave with good intentions.
Yeah,
because once they get in there, they realize the machine they're against and they can't win. So if you can't beat them, join them.
Right, and then you're going to
they get rich.
And then the root of the money right there. Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're like, they're well off. Hey, check this out. I come from a middle class family.
Don't get me started, dude.
And then they're all rich. I don't know. You know what I mean? And they haven't done nothing but politics, you know what I mean? Or had some type of office, you know what I mean? Next thing you know it, you know what I mean? They're setting back fat cats. How'd you get that? You know what I mean? Come on now. And you're going to stand behind them and back them to that big of a point? I mean, why don't you go ahead and take a step back? And why don't we go ahead and stand back and then back up, Christ? You know what I mean? Why don't we stand on that?
Well,
and then, I mean, what are you doing today that's showing that type of behavior,
You think about
that type of characteristic, that type of fruit.
America has done really good about taking the phrase "in God we trust" and making it meaningless.
Hey, what God you trusting in? What I'd be asking.
Well, everybody has their,
Yeah.
So let's get ready to wrap this up. And one thing
we're going there, man.
Yeah, we could do this for hours.
We're on a roll, right?
So
it's been 2 weeks, man.
So a lot of times we've sat down at this table behind the camera and we've talked about well-known pastors falling from grace.
Oh man, dude.
And it hurts when it's somebody that you actually. I've never met Steve Lawson, but I have watched. I would venture to say maybe 150, 200 hours worth of his sermons.
Holy smokes.
And you can look, I when we get done, I'll look on my YouTube because once I watch a sermon, I save it. That way, one, I can go back to it if it's good or share with other people. But then I also know that I watched it, right?
Right.
Because it's in my saved videos. So here this guy is, and he is removed from his church that he helped build. He is highly active in numerous reform circles and conferences. And now here we are. He's let go for sexual indiscretion. And at first, it didn't seem terrible bad. It was like he was just talking to somebody, And he brought how it all went down. So now that the investigation's out, the young lady that was in her 20s and this dude's in his freaking 70s had been having this like affair relationship with him for 5 years, right? Over a period of 5 years. And I guess this is just bits and pieces that I've gleaned from various spots on the internet and social media. The girl's dad found out about it and turned him in. So, or basically said, listen, I'm either going to do it or you're going to do it. So this is how this all comes about.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So they still are trying to maintain that there was never any sexual contact. But then when they go read through all these messages, it was bad. And this dude's 70.
70, man.
Now, I think about it in terms of things. I know a guy that's 70 still highly addicted to pornography.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation. So you don't lose that, whatever it is. That's why it's so important to get on top of it. But at the same time, I'm like, it didn't surprise me when it was some of these guys, right?
Right.
He did his buddies and stuff, and that stuff. It doesn't surprise you when
that
it's
one
these.
Just hit home.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise you when it's these guys that are flashy and
you see them,
and
you can see it.
Yeah, it's like.
They're not.
Of course, that happened.
They don't look too good in the sheep's clothing.
So there we have this. We have this guy. Now I'll compare it to another guy that I really loved. His name was Ravi Zacharias, and he was a well-known apologist. And none of the truth of his life came out till after he died.
Yeah, I mean, you've talked about him before.
So then, was he a wolf in sheep's clothing?
Yeah, possibly.
Was he darkness disguised as light, or was he a David?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, or was he a sheep that was just led astray and deceived, and never found
Nobody-
his way back.
Nobody went and fetched him.
Yeah, no, or couldn't find him, or he chose not to come back,
He
or
had
didn't
to
want
chose
to.
because he was in a circle of
Yeah,
people.
well, that's what I'm saying. He chose not to come
He
back.
chose the first time that he realizes his sin, he liked it and stayed sinning.
Yeah.
So then it begs the question:
Or he just got
was
comfortable
this
with
Lawson's
it.
first time?
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't surprising. Like when Gateway Church, when Robert Morris, like that's been off and on news for 30 years. They just kept pushing it down. TD Jakes pushing it down. And the list goes on.
I think it just varies depending on the one, Ryan. I think a lot
how
of them
hard?
are wolves, and I think some of them they might have just got caught up in that
Right.
that deviance,
Could
that
be.
act. You know what I mean? And they just
But it sure
their flesh took the best of them. You know what I mean?
sure
They
leaves a
failed
bad
the test.
name.
They failed the test.
one
Yeah.
to God and to the church as
Well, yeah.
you think through
well,
this
a
and to
reckoning,
new
man.
believers.
Oh, dude. Yeah, and I would say that creates a ripple effect, and I think that's why leaders really have to be really careful and cautious, man, as a leader. And I think it even speaks on that in Scripture.
Yeah.
Like if you're a leader and you're standing up there preaching and you're speaking word and you're leading people, like I think you carry a little bit more than
The book
than
of James
others.
says not many should teach, and if you do
Right.
teach, you should be able to bridle your tongue and your other things for that matter. But
Yeah, 'cause
it
you're-
also
you're-
says that you're going to be held to a higher judgment standard.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So I mean, oh man.
Then you go back in Matthew where it
But-
talks about leading people astray. It'd be better for you to have a millstone hung around your neck, right?
Yeah. So, but
There
yeah.
again, it's addressing teachers.
Yeah. So do you think they just get so, but in those moments, because, obviously that probably comes with a little bit of that ego. They get that
Humans
power.
like sin,
Yeah,
bro.
that's what I mean. That pride. And then they're like, ooh, then they have all this attention. I mean, you
think
got a
a lot of it
70-year-old
is
dude, you got a
because
20-year-old hottie
simply-
coming at him. He's like,
Well, we don't know. She might have
Well,
been 300
yeah.
pounds, but we don't. I haven't seen a picture of her.
I'm just thinking here,
But
man.
it's I mean, you have to. Speculation says, yeah, it probably was some 18-year-old hottie that he ministered to at a conference, and they stayed in contact and they built a relationship, and then now all of a sudden they're having secret meetings,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
secret text messages. Like I swear this, I and like I said, I don't confirm this, but I feel like I read and then watched a video on it that he even had a secret cell phone just
It
to
makes
make
sense.
contact
Yeah,
with
it
this
makes
girl.
sense. Because
Highly
he's
publicized,
he's high profile.
high profile.
So you would
all
have
around
to,
the world.
Yeah, you would have
Big
to
and
keep that like.
multiple $1 million ministries.
And
He's a big part of.
and he knows that would destroy
And
him.
what's funny is,
and his legacy for that matter.
Well, it did. Well, so now what? Do you disregard everything that guy said?
That's what I was getting at.
I think the book says once they do that, yeah, you minister to him, but never to preach again.
Well, they can't lead.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, you couldn't. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so.
So anyway, so then here we are, and of course that makes me feel.
And
a
they're
type of
dropping
way.
out like all over the place, man.
Well, they've been dropping.
That's what
It's
I mean.
It's
Yeah.
just with
They've been dropping, man.
Technology
quick, more so than they ever have. That
has
I've
made it.
I've seen.
Technology's made it easier to do, but it's also made it easier to get caught.
Well, you got high profile people going down too. Like as
The low
far as
profile.
not. I'm
If
saying
you
it's-
got on and started reading about it, like Pew Research and different places that are
Yeah.
kind of I would say legit publications, it's happening all across
Yeah.
everywhere. It's not just in America.
But that's yeah.
The high profile ones are the ones that we hear about because they have 70,000. Like Steve Lawson's Facebook that he's a part of, I think had 500,000 followers.
Yeah, I was going to have it close up to 1 million probably.
I haven't unsubscribed yet, but he's not been on.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
At G3 Ministries, he was huge in that, and it was close to 1 million subscribers, I think. But what I find interesting is all the people in his circle, close reformers, have not said anything.
Yeah, they're probably not going to, man.
They should.
Probably not for a while.
Well, Johnny Mack should have been the first one.
They're probably not sure what to say about that.
Well, I
they probably
think it's
it
fair.
probably
I
caught
think
them
it's-
off guard, Ryan. They
Well, I'm
probably
sure
don't
it
even
did,
know.
'cause
That's what I
they feel
mean.
like idiots. Like
Well,
this
yeah.
was the guy.
Yeah.
We were inviting him to our
Well,
conference. We were paying
yeah.
him $100,000.
Think of how you're feeling, and they were like right there. You know what I mean?
I would say that there is a bigger target from Satan on people like that's back of temptations, trials, tribulations. What's the other? The 4 T's.
Yeah.
Testing. So he failed off all the levels. No dispute. Now, what he does next is huge, right?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Huge. I would say yeah, huge,
Right,
huge.
huge. I have no idea. Sackcloth and ashes come to mind.
Oh man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
No, Max. Well, you come back here and lay down then. I should have never let him do this at one
Because I
time.
mean, especially at 70 years old, dude. You know what I mean? Because
Well, this shows that
Yeah.
it's any level. I mean, when
You're vulnerable at any level, man.
In my 20s of drugs and alcohol and
Yeah.
partying all the time and being dumb, I was like, oh, I'll eventually grow out of it. At 37 years old, I had not grown out of it yet. The reality of really the reality was I was tired.
yeah,
I was tired of feeling the way I felt, and it wasn't physical tiredness; it was spiritually and mentally. But so it just shows, though, if these guys are struggling, I mean,
everybody's
we went to
struggling,
Encounter a
man.
couple
Probably
weeks
to
ago.
some point or another.
and the Monday after, a guy called me and he was like, "Man, I screwed up." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what happened?" And he told me, and he had like a relapse with pornography. He said, "What do I do?" I said, "Break your fingers." And there was like a hesitation, and he just texts back, "Okay." Right? And I mean, I'm being serious. Like the book says, if your eye, even your good eye, causes you to sin, pluck it out, because it's better to go blind than not go at all. Break your damn fingers, you know? And so I sent him that, and he goes, "Well, what do I do?" You know? And I said, "You make tons of money, get Covenant Eyes, it's $60 a year." You know what I mean? And you put it on all your devices. Be honest, first off, like more than just me, like get honest. Like you're gonna have to tell your damn wife, you know, these kind of things. And it's like, and then you can see the steps that lead up to it, and it's like you go from this conference or whatever you want to call it, men's encounter, and then here we are on Monday. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, wait a minute, how does that even happen? And I think about times though, like where I go to church on Sunday and feel real good years ago, and by 3:00 in the afternoon, I was so drunk I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
You know, so I get that part, but to me, then that just leads me right back to the same thing that I start at every freaking night and every morning is, I need a savior. And there ain't nobody here that's going to save me. Like they could try all they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it just becomes this thing of you have this one intermittent desire change and you go right back to the vomit.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously Lawson wasn't born a pastor. He could have been
Oh yeah.
I mean, I doubt it, but he could have been alcohol. He could have been addicted to, I mean, lots of things. And at some point, I guess my hope is that he wasn't like Ravi Zacharias, where his whole life actually was carried on by this lustful, sinful, sexual stuff. That it just started 5 years ago, and it was just a bad deal. But at the same time, it's like I have this short gap of my life where I've done what I would say.
Yeah. Oopsies.
Well. I have a huge part of my life full of oopsies.
Yeah.
And I would say they're more than oopsies. I mean, they're like legitimate, I should go straight to hell for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying and it's whatever, but it's still at the end of the day, it's like when I turn the news on and I look at the shit show of all that and I see the wars that are going on and then I talk to people and see their struggle and that, and I'm just like, how are you so blind to this idea that you could really be better immediately? All you got to do is hit your knees and pray and like mean it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be the best day ever. It's going to be your best day ever that you've ever lived if you choose it to be. But I think we do get caught up a lot in that idea too, that if we just give this tiny bit to God, he gives us back this like this prosperity.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's okay to do things for reward. You know, I don't know. The Bible talks about rewards. I know when I was a kid, I did some chores. I got a reward. Just saying. Got a soda or a couple bucks in my pocket. You know what I mean? You go to work, your reward's to get paid. Yeah. Sometimes you get employee of the month and you get a big reward.
Yeah, I think things just happen as you work.
There is, but you got to keep working.
Yeah, you don't stop, man.
I'm the worst about. I'm like, I'll talk about all highly undisciplined, all these things.
Yeah, you got to stay in the process, man.
The tiny things that I am disciplined about have changed my life. And one of those things is that I try to seek God and stay connected. And I can immediately tell, hindsight, because it's never in the moment like, oh, well, it sucks so I'm not reading my Bible enough. No, it's like it has to totally go to crap before I really recognize that, oh yeah, no, it is me. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Lots to talk about. We need to do this again soon.
Yeah, cool, Ryan.
We had a great weekend. Some people that we really love had
Oh,
us
yeah, man. That was
really, really nice get together for our 1 year celebration.
totally unexpected there, man. They got me.
We thought we were just showing up for tacos, and I knew something was up when I got there. Didn't really fully know what was happening until I got in the backyard.
You know, it
But-
even took a second to register after I got in the backyard.
Right? Yeah, I get it.
Like, I was like,
Yeah. So what I know,
what are y'all doing here?
this is is your dad and mom were there.
And then Chase was there. Josh was there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what's going on
Yeah.
here? Thought we were
So-
coming over for tacos, man.
Yeah.
Then I thought I was walking into like a birthday party or something.
There was people there that don't even watch the Excluded Middle. I
Yeah.
love that. But what I really took away from that whole experience was that the podcast means very little. It's
Yeah.
really about the quality of character, and seeing the people that showed up on both of our accounts, dude, was so beautiful.
Oh, I
to
thought
me.
it was awesome, man. I mean, I
Yeah.
felt, it was a
It-
very uplifting moment, man.
Loved to be loved that day.
Yeah.
It just
Loved
felt
to be
so
loved.
good, and it was great, and I totally did. I just totally dig that people care enough
Yeah.
to recognize things that kind of we think it's cool, and it's like we're happy to be at a year, but it's like, wow.
Had a party for it. I had me rolling, man. I was cracking up. Well, as soon as
Yeah.
I started processing that and figuring it out, it was quite the hoot, man.
Yeah. No, it was good times,
times,
man.
man.
And I
Well-
love seeing those people. And I got to meet new people. I had a great conversation. Was your dad's name Gary? Yeah. Towards the tail end of it. And I first in my head, I'm like, I feel like Keeler put him up to this. Because he comes at me and he's like, hey, man, just want you to know, we love the show. We love you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Watch you all the time, you know. And I said, right on, man. And he said something. He goes, I'm never inside, though. I don't hardly even watch TV.
Yeah, he doesn't either.
And I said, really? And so then he keeps going. He goes, yeah, I get up in the morning and I am outside until I go to bed. And my first thought was my old neighbor, because he's the same way.
Yeah, that's
And
what
there's
he
this
does.
old school thing.
Yeah.
But then he looks me like dead in the eyes, like, you got to keep moving.
Yeah, gotta move.
And I'm like, well, now I know where you get it from. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel like Keeler told his dad to come give me a
No,
pep
I
talk
did
to
not.
take my
at
dog
all.
for a walk. or
Not
something.
at all, man.
Well, I appreciate it. That's why I texted you. I was like, I had a hell of a good talk with Gary.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah,
And,
he does that on his own accord,
Yeah,
man.
and I loved everybody. So outgoing.
Movement,
you know what I mean?
movement is life, man. You know what I mean?
It is.
Yeah.
I justify a lot of it because my brain's always
Our
moving,
movement is
you know?
healing. I would
It
even
is
say,
healing.
man.
Yeah, it does. It is.
Movement is medicine.
It is. It actually
Yeah.
is the best medicine.
Yeah.
I think laughter's right under that. So, anyways, man,
Laughter, movement.
always a good time to sit here. Hopefully, we had sound.
I would
and the
say
battery
love
left.
and laughter and movement with love
Oh yeah,
is the
there's
greatest.
a
of medicines.
trinity to everything.
Yeah, man.
We've recognized that
Yeah.
lots of times. So, anyways, I love you, brother.
Love you, Ryan.
Yeah,
One
I
love.
love you guys.
Shalom. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, hit the like button if you made it this far.
We should say that.